Hey, I'm Ty, founder of Preservan, and on this episode of Chart New Territories, we have Logan Brown, the owner of Preservan Jacksonville. All right, so I am super excited to have Logan with us today. Logan's got an incredible entrepreneurial journey, and I think everybody who is listening to this or watching this is going to learn a lot from Logan's experience and what it's like to go from having a job to being a business owner. And so, Logan, thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah. So we started talking. Do you recall when we got started? It's been a few months now, right?
It's been probably 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. So tell me, what were you doing prior to that phone call that you made to us?
Well, I was in a truck hauling cars. That's what I've been doing for the last
Truck driver.
I was a truck driver for the last 14 years, and yeah, haul cars. My last gig was with a great company. The only thing we did, we hauled Land Rovers and Jaguars halfway across the country to, Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, that kind of thing. So yeah.
So give me a day in the life, or I guess maybe a week in the life, because that sounds like multiple days on the road. So give me kind of a week in the life of what it looked like hauling cars.
Monday morning, you wake up at 2 a.m. You drive from Jacksonville to Port of Brunswick. You load up. You get all the way to Louisiana by the end of the day, and you deliver the next day, you come back, you do it again, 2 trips a week and 70, 80 hours a week.
So what part of the country were you driving from? Starting there kind of in Florida, what part of the country you hitting?
South Georgia at the port to Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Little Rock.
Okay.
Sometimes dealers in Florida, but that was rare.
So all across the South, traveling all across the South, delivering cars. How long had you been doing that for?
I did that for 7 years.
For 7 years?
7 years before that, I hauled coast to coast.
Okay, so you were hauling before that too.
Yeah.
So 14 years total driving a truck.
Yep.
Man, that's incredible. I think that a lot of times people imagine that, if you're going to start a business, it's because you probably work in something corporate or something like that. And I guess you're working for a corporation technically.
Correct, yeah.
But not the typical experience I think most people imagine.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And the lead into something like this is a little off the wall, but it's...
So tell me about the moment. You're out there hauling cars. I guess you got a lot of time to think, a lot of time to process. What was happening when you were like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm ready to do something else. Maybe start my own business, do my own thing.
That was, it's been on and off on my mind for the last few years. I wanted something tangible that I can show my work rather than just say, hey, I'm delivering these fancy cars.
Yeah.
These, well-off people in other states, which is great, but I want to do something a little bit more tangible and to show the work that I've done to allow a little bit of creativity. And that was earlier this week. I promised myself by the end of the year, I wanted to do something different, something dealing with renovation, historical preservation, renovation. So, yeah.
So you're out there driving, you decide, so I guess this is at the early, beginning of 2024. You're like, this is the year. I'm gonna be doing something else by the end of this year. And here we are.
I had no idea.
So you had no idea that it was gonna be this. So how did you stumble across Preservan? How did this become the thing?
Last few years, I really got big in like building science, and then through that became historical preservation, and I really appreciate historical buildings.
Yeah.
And over the last few years, I've been watching YouTube, your videos, Brett Hall, Scott Seidler.
Okay.
Which, I didn't stumble upon Preservan until I saw that I saw a video of yours, and then I saw Scott Seidler, who owns the Craftsman blog.
Yeah.
And I flipped between you two because I was like, I'm not going to own a franchise. I'm not going to get into this. And then I saw Scott in Orlando, and I said, hold on, Scott's doing this. I'm going to look into it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then I went back, and I was like, how did I miss this? This is the greatest thing. Because I was actually wanting to rebuild old windows.
Okay.
That was what my thought process was. I had a tool list. I could rent a place out to work on the windows. But then it it seemed a little bit overwhelming.
Right.
And then with Preservan, it was sort of like, oh, the easy button, almost, right?
Almost.
Comparatively speaking,
right. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's a world of difference. You have the logo, you have the name, you have the great slogan, the great website, product market fit. It's just all of the things just fell in place. And to me, it was obvious.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I appreciate that. And for those of you that are listening that don't already know, so Scott Seiler is the owner of Preservan Orlando. He's a historic preservation expert. He, as Logan just said, has a really amazing blog for old home repairs called the Craftsman Blog. And so I'm guessing you're looking at the Craftsman Blog, thinking about old houses, fixing them up. Do you have one? Do you fix it up?
I have
fixing it up.
Yes, I've owned my house. It's a 98-year-old house in Avondale, Jacksonville.
Okay.
And I've done a lot of things to it.
Okay.
Preservation-wise, but also improvements inside the house and just taking care of it. And so I was actually going to rebuild my own windows.
Okay.
Which is kind of why.
So why you're watching the videos?
Yes, that's why I watched the video. I probably watched 100 videos on rebuilding old windows. I got Scott's book, there's many books, but I think his is one of the best.
Because it's like Old Windows Made Easy or
Correct.
Houses Made Easy.
Yeah.
Yep. Great resource out there for anybody thinking about fixing up their old house or old windows. So, of course, we're here talking about Preservan. And you and I have been talking about it for quite a while, and you've been here training this week. But for those out there listening that don't know, what does Preservan do?
Preservan repairs wood rot.
Okay.
In homes. Could be the base of your column, could be your window, could be your door. But it's unique in that it uses a 2-part epoxy, which has been around for decades, but we're really refining the process and making it more accessible to the everyday person.
Right.
So,
yeah. And so what does it use to do that? So you're going to make it more accessible to everybody. What does it use to do that?
As far as the materials go?
Yeah, like the material. Does it like replace everything?
So you get rid of the rot.
Okay.
You inject Consolidate.
Okay.
Which stabilizes the wood.
Yeah.
Once you remove all the bad wood, you stabilize the wood using the Consolidate, and then you insert the 2-part epoxy.
Okay.
It's sort of like putty or Play-Doh.
Yeah.
And once it cures, we sand it down to the exact shape, very close to it.
Right.
Of the surrounding area. It works like wood. You can drill it, you can nail it, you can sand it, you can rasp it, you can do everything that you can with wood, except it's a little easier, but it is designed to last the life of the structure.
That's really awesome, and it is a really great solution for people who are have beautiful homes or old homes or any kind of home, and they want to maintain that original character of their house and not go through all the expense of replacement. So I know we've talked a lot about historic houses. So is this just a thing for houses that are, built 100 years ago, or can this be used on newer properties? Like, say my house is just 20 years old.
The odd thing with newer houses is that although with old homes, you don't experience as much rot, relatively speaking, because the house is 100 years old. Right. If this was a newer house, a 20-year-old house, you would have newer growth wood. Yeah. And with old growth wood, you don't have to worry about that as much.
Right.
With the newer houses, with the new growth wood, the wood is not as dense. It's more susceptible to rot. Yeah. So this applies to everyone's home across the board.
Yeah, absolutely.
Despite the age, maybe not so much if it's 5 years old, but
it'll get there, right?
It'll eventually get there, correct, especially in certain regions like with Florida and Jacksonville.
Yeah, so you're going to be opening up a Preservan in Jacksonville. I'm curious, when you think about your city, and for those that don't know about Jacksonville, share us a little bit about what gets you excited about serving Jacksonville and the areas, maybe even the neighborhoods that you're thinking that this is going to be a great fit for.
I'm thinking every area and every neighborhood, but,
right,
but specifically Avondale, Riverside. I live in Avondale, so there's Riverside, Avondale, then Ortega, but also there's Springfield, downtown, and San Marco. Okay. And those are more the central parts of Jacksonville. Okay. The heart of Jacksonville, really. Yeah. But, you can branch out to Fernandina, Ponte Vedra.
Right. Are those like the ones near the coast where you have some of those like vacation homes and things like that? Very cool. Very cool. So you live in, so tell us a little bit about You live in Avondale. You've took me on the tour through your historic districts. Really cool. Are there any like specific like housing types that you're kind of excited to kind of get in there and get fixed?
Yeah, I see a bunch of them. I know them all. I actually read the book on all the different houses in Jacksonville, and it's interesting because it's not just in the historic districts, but there's one Victorian house I'd really like to work on, and I'm just thinking like, oh, what if I can work on this house or that house? That'd be really cool. But the sky's the limit as far as what's out there, and really any house will do. I just want, because the same satisfaction that a homeowner gets from fixing their 30-year-old house will be the same satisfaction that a homeowner gets when fixing their 100-year-old house. And by calling me or someone like me, that shows me that the owner of the house, that neighbor, really cares about their house.
Absolutely. You said the word a few times. You said neighbor. That's something that's kind of unique to us. We say here at Preservan, we don't have customers, we have neighbors. What does that mean that when you keep saying neighbor? How do you interpret that, and how's that going to impact the way you operate Preservan Jacksonville?
That's interesting, and it's kind of one of the things that really led me to Preservan, like kind of solidified the deal. I guess on an emotional point of view, because obviously this is a professional, environment. This is a business, right?
Yeah.
But oftentimes we forget about the personal side of things.
Yeah.
And I learned very early on in my career, when I was in high school working a job, my first job, someone told me, Logan, just think of the customer as if it was your mom. And
that's good.
I love my mom.
Yeah, right.
I only want to do right things for my mom.
Yeah.
And so that's how I viewed my entire professional career.
Yeah.
From that point on. And also the fact that I will literally be working on my neighbors' homes.
Right, literally.
Literally.
Absolutely.
My next door neighbors, I have 3 of them that need work. And so I'm just extending that out to everyone in the Jacksonville area.
Yeah. No, that's great. There are a lot of other businesses that probably would say, oh, I could fix that or I could replace that, whether it's a column or a window or a door or a shutter or something. What do you think makes Preservan's value proposition unique, where those people that are thinking about that should consider Preservan over those other options?
Well, the sustainability side of things, we're not in there to rip out and to throw away. We're there to preserve. It's in our name. And I thought of this the other day. It's kind of strange, but you have artisan, historian, centurion, Preservan, right? It's just like, and those are just a play on words phonetically, but it goes back to like, we want to preserve what you say the future by preserving the past.
Absolutely.
So rather than ripping out and throwing away the old growth wood, let's just fix the base of the column.
Right.
Not cut off a third of the bottom.
Right.
Replace it with new growth wood so that it can rot again in 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
Let's preserve that wood. Let's fix the part that's rotting.
Yeah.
And the epoxy can't rot. It has no weight to rot.
Right.
So let's just do that rather than just throwing it in the trash.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then there's also going to be a financial benefit to that as well, right?
Absolutely. You rebuild a wood window that's 100 years old, for example, or any new wood window.
Right.
Right. That's going to be thousands of dollars.
Right.
To get it correct, to correctly replace or rebuild that window, it's going to be thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
This is going to be a fraction of that. So that's where the product market fit comes in. It's more accessible to the everyday homeowner. And they're going to be more motivated to run towards that business model.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things that kind of, I know we both agree on this, that sustainability is really awesome. And I think it's something that most people and businesses should strive for. But a lot of times sustainability comes with, it also costs more. You want to buy, whatever it is, the sustainable food or the sustainable clothes or whatever it is. It usually there's like a green tax to something. And it's really cool to do a service where it is the sustainable choice at a significantly reduced price, because repair is going to be cheaper than replacement or more affordable. So let's switch gears here a little bit, looking towards the future. On a personal level, financial, whatever, What are you hoping to achieve through owning your own business, Preservan Jacksonville?
To be home more.
Yeah, I bet, man.
I mean, this is great. I only work 40 to 50 hours a week, and you're telling me I make money doing that at home?
Right.
I could do that. I sleep in my own bed.
Yeah.
That's great. I like my community. I love where I live.
Yeah.
And I loved that the beach is only 25, 30 minutes away. I love that, everything about Jacksonville. I want to spend my time there.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend my time on the side of I-10, a few nights a week.
Right.
Truck stop or rest area. I'd rather be here.
Yeah.
So this is, so many benefits, besides the obvious ones, I would say, way more home time.
Yeah. No, that was something I caught early on in our conversations is I'm like, man, this guy is on the road all the time, 3, 4, 5 days a week. But man, he loves the city that he lives in. Like, and just like really passionate about the city. I could definitely tell that when I visited there. Like, all the areas, all the cool spots, the history behind it, but you're out there on the road all the time. And so it really makes sense that, and you got an amazing, beautiful home there. It really makes sense that you would want to spend more time in that amazing city, in your house, in your community. Makes sense, coming from you. 5 years from now, what kind of difference do you hope that Preservan makes there in your territory in Jacksonville?
I want to lead the way of becoming the new generation of preservationists.
Yeah.
Because we often think of preservationists today, maybe the older generation that want to preserve what they experienced back in the day, right, which is totally understandable. I want to extend that.
Yeah.
And whether that's through the work that I do or just the to be the face of, sustainability at all costs. Yeah. If possible, whenever practically possible, let's sustain the things that we have. Yeah. And a lot of that comes back to the slogan we have. And, a lot of it is just like everyday normal stuff. Like, right. I've organized or have been a part of more than a dozen trash cleanups throughout the city, and I want to extend that to make that a normal thing everywhere, not just historical areas, but everywhere in Jacksonville. And I think that makes a big difference. It's optics, right? Right. You have a clean house, you have a clean car, you have let's have a clean city. Absolutely. And that affects people on a deeper level when they see that sort of care.
Yeah, man, I love the idea of taking preservation beyond historic and sustainability beyond historic, beyond what we understand. And it's exciting to have you there in Jacksonville leading the way.
Thank you.
Logan, thanks for joining us, man. It's been really great conversation. Really excited for what you're going to do there in Jacksonville and really excited to finish up our training week, man. So thanks for being here.
Thanks, Ty. I really appreciate everything you've done.
Thanks, man.